The irony on the path, on the spiritual path, is that as we start to see more clearly, or maybe not even that, maybe as the things that we're seeing no longer seem so real, and a journey of almost descent into ourselves, into a lot of questions, a lot of disorientation. This conjures up the feelings of almost unreality, this disorientation, confusion that I've spoken to many times before. But actually, the irony is that what's happening is that we're becoming real. We're becoming real at last, at long last. And this is a shock to realize, because it does beg the question, what have we been doing, and what is this unreality of our lives and our construct and the world that we live in? But make no mistake, what's happening in the descent, in the collapse, for want of a better term, of the constructed self, the strategic self, the emotional self, the self that hides itself in many ways, its truth, the rawness of its truth, or the vulnerability or the pain of its truth, as that is beginning to shake, because it's no longer tenable to live in that way. The unreal is beginning to break up, and we're falling into the real. So we're becoming real. And what that means is we're becoming the real truth of ourselves. And it doesn't even have to be the full enlightened version of us. Just the simple, no longer bending the knee to the unreal, constructed self, full of denial, full of avoidance, full of repression and suppression. We're no longer bending the knee to that. And what that means is that we're not going to replace one self with another self. That's not what happens. What happens is almost a purification, let's say. Deep, existential, emotional, mental, whole body, full-on purification over time. And that purification takes us by and by into our real nature, the real us. And what that kind of looks like, nobody can say, but it's a much more direct way of living. It's a much more honest way of being. It's a liberation from the need to live one's life from strategies or denials or games or avoidances. It's no longer really, in effect, playing a game. It's the end of the game playing. And the ways that we've managed to navigate relationships, ultimately, the world and relationships. And it's the end of that. And it's the end of taking ourselves to be less than, more than, unworthy, overworthy, weak, strong, failure, success. It's the willingness to fall. And that falling, we think, is falling into like the void, or everybody's heard of this phrase now, the void. But it's the willingness to fall deeply inside into whatever it is that awaits us, whatever pain comes, whatever disorientation, whatever we've denied ultimately in our lives. And it is a difficult journey, and it can be a disorientating journey, but the disorientation is the disorientation of purification. If you've ever done any real physical detoxification and purification, if you have done any of that, and I mean serious stuff, not just like a, superficial, you'll know that it hurts like hell. It's a challenge. It challenges. It brings up stuff. All you have to do is a fast for 3 or 4 days, or change your habitual patterns of what you eat, how you eat, the unconscious grabbing for certain foods or drinks or whatever it is. You just interrupt that pattern for long enough, or change the pattern for long enough, all sorts of stuff starts coming up. That's what we've avoided. That's what we avoid. We're tacticians in our lives, strategists and tacticians. And usually we, or in many ways, we apply those strategies and tactics to avoid the pain inside. And as soon as you interrupt a pattern or change a pattern, then that pain starts to come up because it wants to be healed, because it's just there. It's there anyway. And so in that sense, we're not living in reality. We're living in unreality. We're living on the surface of ourselves, and yet deep below the iceberg is a whole swathe of pain and suffering and avoidance, all that wants to come to the surface. Everything that wants to come to the surface of us. But you're not becoming less real on the journey, falling into reality. This is taken to be reality, but it's a construct. It's a construct we live in. It's an individual, ancestral, collective, social, moral construct. And I don't mean kind of, like a matrix necessarily or anything like that. I'm not talking conspiratorially. I'm just saying, look at it. It's a world of beliefs. It's a world of behaviors. It's a world of conformity. It's a world of agreement. It's a world of consensus. Largely in families and cultures and communities, we are, it's demanded, and we are conditioned to play our part in whatever way we do. That means if you want to fit in, you have to do this. You have to behave like this. And in the family situation, that usually means behavioral modification, where in order to emotionally, mentally, existentially, even physically sometimes, to survive, you have to be like this. You learn how to be. You learn how to survive and get through and get by. So you would create a personality, or create a person who moves around like this and this and this. This is the basis of social, familial conditioning. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the way it is, right? That's just the way it is. But don't mistake that for reality, for real reality, for a deeper reality, when the reality that I'm referring to here is authentic expression, authentic depth, direct living. You're in touch with what you feel. You're in touch with what is, what your emotions are. There's nothing that hasn't been met in your life. There is nothing in the shadows, in the corners. And that's a journey, but that's a journey to becoming real. And it's a blessed journey. It's the most blessed journey for a human being. And it forges us. It's not the arrival at the destination. There is no arrival at a destination because life is a movement. It's a river. It's not a place. It's a movement. But in that, the forging of us, as we give ourselves to that river, to that flow, and it's the end of trying to control it in that way, to control ourselves. Because for most people it doesn't work, it just creates suffering. So you have to come deeper down and trust that that falling, even though it's disorientating, is actually falling into reality, into the real truth of ourselves. So I hope this has spoken to you.